Whoa, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I am Josh, and that is Jason over there. This is Redpill Projects. This isn't the Daily Dose. This is Conversations on the Fringe. Jeez, man. You get into that groove and that grind, and you're just like, Daily Dose! But this is the Conversations on the Fringe. This is our Friday night show. An hour later at 7:30 p.m., this is where we talk about the weird, the wacky, the unusual, the conspiratorial, just about everything that goes bump in the night. And tonight, I think we're going to have a little fun. We're gonna talk some interesting things. And what I want to also do tonight is we have a whole bunch of master patrons out there. Master patrons, they pay a subscription, and they're the ones that really help to keep all this alive and going and keep all the platforms and all the channels rocking and rolling. And so if there's any master patrons out there, okay, so one of the things that you get with a master patron episode or subscription is you get to ask questions, super chat. And so I'm going to actually open it up. If you're a master patron, go on to the social Redpill. Go to groups, go to the not the master patron, but the Conversations on the Fringe group, okay? And send me a message. And you guys, so not only master patrons, but if you have any Conversations on the Fringe subscription, okay? Any Conversations on the Fringe subscription, send me a message saying that you want to come on. We'll let you come in on Zoom with us, and you can go ahead and ask a few questions pertaining to what we're talking about. So you can do the super chat where you guys come on Zoom with us live on the show and ask your questions, kind of like a call-in. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. Or you can go ahead and ask your questions on the super chat. So feel free to do that. That's over at Social Redpill. Conversations on the Fringe. I think it's Redpill Patreon, Redpill Patreon Plus, and Master Patreon where you have that ability to do all the super chats. So please use that tonight. Master patrons, if you guys want to come on with me, you just let me know. You guys can just jump on in here. I'll go ahead and send you the Zoom link out and just tell me and I'll get it out to you. But tonight we're going to be talking about what the hell is happening in the world. Because, I don't know if this is just a massive disinformation and psychological warfare campaign. I don't know if there's some truth to a lot of this stuff. But every day it seems to get weirder and weirder, and shit just seems to make less and less sense. And so I can start with, I don't believe in flat earth. I think you guys understand this, but I'm starting to question the validity of things like NASA. Right? The flat earthers, whether we believe what they're saying or not, I don't. But there are some things that we have to take into consideration. For instance, when you're watching ISS footage, NASA webcam footage, does anybody else notice all the air bubbles? Have you ever seen this, Jay? Mm-hmm. Air bubbles of the ISS footage?
Yeah. Weird.
It's almost like they're underwater. And like they're green screening the water out of it. And it was like my first assumption. Now, if you go back, do you remember that back in the 90s, there was an ISS video of this UFO, right? They had the tether. There's like thousands of UFOs on the screen. And they look like smudges. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it as like microscopic bacteria in water on a lens, now it starts to make complete sense. Right? That a lot of these things that we're seeing on the ISS feed are not UFOs. Just oceanic life. That what if there is some type of ruse going on? Now, I've been thinking a lot about space, a lot about not flat Earth necessarily, but I'm starting to think that flat Earth theory was actually being propagated to hide something else. And that's hollow Earth theory. Mm. Now, for some reason, this just rings a bell with me. I've been listening to a lot of Brooks Agnew, who is probably one of the foremost researchers on this topic in the world. And he claims, he says that there is now enough evidence to prove that our Earth is not just a globe spinning right, around the sun. That there's something else going on here. And he showed that Uranus, the planet Uranus, has actually been verified to be two planets, one inside and one outside rotating around it. Now, I want you to think about this, because the outside of Uranus is gas, right?
It's so funny when you say that.
Uranus, the outside of Uranus is filled with gas.
It sure is.
But it is. It's like, I think it's an ammonium dioxide or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm. And so you're saying that's going clockwise or counterclockwise, and then there's actually a core in there that's going the opposite direction.
There's two planets. There's one inside and one outside.
So why wouldn't it be an atmosphere and then the planet? I mean,
well, the atmosphere would be outside of the gas, so the atmosphere would actually be outside of that. The atmosphere is comprised of layers. So, yeah, I mean, you could consider it an atmosphere. That's where it would come off of any solid surface. But, go back to an article that came out a few weeks ago and what we talked about. How did the moon get created? Remember how the moon got created? It's 3 billion years ago, you had the molten Earth and another planet collided with it. And they know this.
I do not believe that.
Well, because here's the thing. They know this. They validated it because the isotopic dating, and it's not carbon dating, it's a different type of isotopic dating of the moon rocks, validate that they are from the Earth about 3 billion years ago. And I said, well, and I told my professor.
Because they're from Nevada.
Well, no, I said this to my professor in college. I said, if this is the case, and another planet crashed into the Earth, then show me the radioactive carbon dating or isotopic dating of the other planet that crashed into Earth. And he goes, well, that melted up. That melted because the Earth was all molten. I said, no, it doesn't work that way, buddy. There would have been remnants of that into the moon. Oh, we probably haven't found it.
You're saying Earth and the moon were one?
Potentially, but I'm actually starting to think a little something different here. And I'm just kind of this is just my imagination going. What if we live in Hollow Earth, the inner realm of the planet? Okay? What if the planet that we live on is much larger than we've ever thought? Jupiter-sized planet. Right? So Jupiter's 1,000 times larger than Earth, right? So 1,000 times the size of the Earth, 1,000 Earths out from the center. It's a long distance. So imagine that we live in the hollow Earth. We live in the center of it, right? And what if the outside area is water? Okay? Now bear with me here. When light is shone on that water, what would it look like in the morning, in the daytime, when the light shines on it? Blue. At nighttime, though, it would almost take kind of a clarity, a clear form. And isn't that what we already experience with observing the stars and everything like that? We get the parallax of the stars, of the refraction because of the water in the atmosphere. We got clouds that appear. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder.
Dude, I almost think that you're like trying to say like, man, we're just this ball in a house and there's this light bulb. And at night, somebody takes a strainer and puts it over it, and that's what gives us stars. Because
no, not at all. I'm being more practical here. I'm trying to look at this from a very rational, logical, and scientific perspective, and I'm trying to understand how to evolve these conspiracy theories that we have seen into something that would make sense. So I got some people asking, how do I get into the super chat? Let me go right here. How do I say that? There we go. Yeah, I typed that fast. But I'm trying to rationalize it, right? So now go back to Soundgarden, Chris Cornell.
Nice. Back up though.
Okay, go ahead.
So why wouldn't the water collapse on us? What keeps the water away
Maybe
from
there
us?
is a firmament. Maybe there is something. Maybe the construct of the universe, maybe the understanding of physics in the universe and planetary science and the solar system and everything that we know is wrong.
Well, anything's plausible at this point.
Now, do you remember Tincture Ventures? Aaron Valenti?
No.
It's all a thought experiment. It's not real. We live in the Matrix. Now, I have a hard time believing that this is a simulation. Right? I have a hard time believing that we live in a simulation. Right? So, because it just doesn't compute with me. So I'm trying to wrap my head around what the fuck is really going on. Because we have so many different degrees and angles that we can go with this. Now, I can't see flat Earth. It's really hard to even fathom hollow Earth. Although I would rather believe that we're on the surface of a hollow Earth and there's a hollow Earth beneath us. That makes complete sense. I can go along with that. But us actually being in the hollow Earth, but think about this. If we were inside the hollow Earth and the center of the Earth was flat, then this explains everything that the flat earthers actually talk about. Every single piece of evidence that they talk about is now validated. And it's not false of what they're saying, but it's not really the truth. There's more to it. We actually live in a sphere of a planet, but we live in the flat part of the center of it. And it almost just brings me back to the Matrix. They lived in Zion, towards the Earth's core where it was still warm, right? So if you guys do want to come on and ask some questions, just let me know. And what I'll do is I'll get you an invitation over. We'll do one person at a time if they do want to come in. Looks like we might have a guest jumping in real quick to say hi and ask a few questions. We're going to change things up, make this a little bit more interesting because, you know, we kind of had some things planned, but I didn't want to continue on the same pathway. So I just want to talk about whatever comes to people's minds and really what they want to talk about. So let's get fringy. Let's discuss some things, right? Let's see where we can take this conversation. And Vince, I see Vince out there. Vince wants to join in. You know how to do that, my friend. Comet Atlas, Planet Nibiru. You know, the planet Nibiru is a hard one for me. But, you know, think about it like this. You remember how we always talk about the black sun? Black hole sun, right? And then the Satanists talk about the black sun, which is attributed to Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
What if there was a black hole sun? So if you were within a hollow Earth, okay? If you're in a hollow Earth and you went to the tunnel and you looked up, that would be a black hole. And occasionally you would see the sun. Black hole sun. Just putting it out there, right? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. It's an interesting theory. You know, I like what Sick Days says. Everything is frequency and vibration and energy. Absolutely. You know, 100% absolutely correct. I love that conversation. I'm just trying to take this to where we can take it because I think that there's going to be some interesting things coming about here in the next few months that's going to bring a lot of answers to a lot of the questions that we have. Now, who knows who Luis Elizondo is? He worked for the 8-tip program at the Pentagon when I was actually in the military, and this oversaw basically the Pentagon's investigation into unidentified aerial phenomena. And he came out with an article just today Buzzkill. We can't do a thing to stop UFOs. It could be America's biggest spy failure since 9/11, warns ex-Pentagon investigator. UFOs are flying over the U.S. The military doesn't know what they are or who is behind them, and we can't stop them, an ex-Pentagon investigator revealed. Lou Elizondo, who headed up the secretive Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, ATIP, told the U.S. Sun strange provocations reported a slew of footage by the U.S. military are real, and questions is now simply, what are they? This is talking about the famous TikTok videos. Elizondo, who later this week identified by former U.S. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. What the hell? This is, former, yeah. Harry Reid is a leader of ATIP. Despite denials from the Pentagon, was speaking after the host of new UFO footage was confirmed by the Department of Defense. And they didn't spell that right. While he cannot discuss much of his work as it remains classified, he said he has seen very, very compelling data which convinced him that the existence of these strange objects seemingly menacing the U.S. He resigned from his post of ATIP and he sought out to bring the discussion about the UFOs, more commonly referred to as scientific circles, as identified aerial phenomena, into the mainstream, describing them as a national security issue. So basically this goes on to say is that we might not get what we want to hear about UFOs, because at the end of the day, the government doesn't know what the hell they are.
And so 100% know what they are.
Well, I think so. Is they 100% do know what they are, but that revelation is a little too shaky for this world right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's what we need. I think it's what needs to happen in the world, is that these revelations have to come about. These revelations have to be brought to the surface. And that the UFO thing, I think, is going to shed a lot of light on what we're talking about here. So we got people in there asking. I want to just make sure everybody's, how do we get into the super chat? So guys, let me explain the super chat. You can come onto the Zoom. I'll send you the Zoom link. You come onto the Zoom. You get highlighted. You ask a question. Okay? That's kind of what I'm talking about with the super chat. If you just want to get into the regular super chat, just go to the Conversations on the Fringe super chat. It's in groups if you have the membership. And you'll find tonight's post, what is going on in the world, and then the comments area is the super chat area. If you don't want to come on the Zoom. But so we got this happening, right? Then today, I saw this article. And this kind of corresponds to the whole narrative we've been talking about. And look, guys, I don't know if there's a hollow earth, if there's a flat earth, if we live in a fucking simulation, or if we actually live on a ball that's traveling 100,000 miles around the sun in a solar system far, far away, around a galaxy that we know nothing about, and aliens visiting us. I don't know. I hope to find out, though. I hope to know the truth one day. But Space Force Chief Scientist, human augmentation is now necessary. In our business of national defense, it's imperative that we embrace this new age, lest we fall behind our strategic competitors. The head scientist of the U.S. Space Force has an unusual idea of how to maintain military dominance, augmenting and upgrading human soldiers. Isn't this what we've been talking about the whole week? And this goes in the neural implants, AI-assisted neural implants. This goes everything back to Jay, to what we discussed with Edward Reardon, this type of thing, right? Now, this is interesting because on the same day, this article's released. Brain-like device mimics human learning and major computing breakthrough. And so this is a neural device that connects, right? That connects to the human brain that allows you to learn very similar to Pavlov's dog. Yeah. So technology is moving really, really fast right now. Incredibly fast right now. And it's only going to speed up as things move forth.
You know, I had a dream last night. And I don't always remember my dreams verbatim, but this one was kind of weird. So I play this golf game on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and so it has wind. So when you tee off, if the wind direction is really heavy, it'll carry your ball left or right, right? I mean,
Yeah.
makes sense. But sometimes I'll play opponents and they'll make a shot and I'll think, what a dumb shit. Like you had to know that was going to do that to your ball, like, you know. And so the dream was that I was playing this game and I discovered that these stupid moves were actually AIs. So they weren't real people. They were just there for you to play when real people weren't available.
Right.
And it was, and so what happened was is I called this company out and I was like, you know, these are AIs, these aren't real people. And the problem was is that they couldn't, so the AIs were getting more intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And
So they are
eventually
learning.
and they were eventually kicking everybody's ass. And it was making me mad, right? So I called them out on it. And the thing was is that they couldn't stop the AIs from learning.
This
They
is
like
actually real.
well, I'm telling you my dream though. And
Oh,
so
your
they
dream. Okay.
yeah. So they're trying to shut the AIs down, but they can't even like turn the entity off because it's learned and it's become so intelligent. So they can't shut it down. And at that moment, they like start to take the world over. And I woke up in like a sweat because it was just so intense.
These AI golfers fucking ruling the world.
Well, but I mean, take it out of the golf thing and just put it to any other scenario.
Yeah.
And what is to say there is no off switch, right?
Right.
What is to say that you can't turn it off? And what is to say that if it does an analysis and it says, okay, if my job or my objective is to do what's best for Earth, then it's going to look at us as a roach.
Right.
And it, in my opinion, it'll be our demise. You know?
Well, I mean, here's the thing: is I don't see anything that we create that can become greater than us. I just that's a hard one to fathom, right?
Well, did you ever see that video interview of the guy that invented those two AIs that are made to look like humans? And the one man AI actually says that they're, you know, objectively that they want to take over the world and destroy all humans.
Oh,
That wasn't a joke.
yeah, that was Sophia, right?
Well, it was Sophia and then the male counterpart. And the male counterpart said that. And then the guy went behind it and turned it off. You know?
So I want to clarify.
So I think even
Hold
if
on,
we
I just want to
made it
clarify real
intelligent.
quick. 1 second, Jay. So
Sure.
on the app, Conversations on the Fringe group, go to chat. It'll open up, and there it is. So keeping the faith, you were in the right place. And it looks like someone wants to join. I want to get them in. Go ahead, Jay. You can continue. Sorry.
So what you just said there is profound because you said whatever we make will never become more intelligent than us.
Mm-hmm.
But what if it's just intelligent enough to think and
You're mute. Dude, we lost audio. I can't hear you. There you go. Now I can hear you.
the fuck?
I don't know.
I didn't touch anything.
That was.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, it's saying my internet connection is unstable, which makes no sense. So my point is it will learn and eventually become smarter.
Agreed, but I have a hard time. So it would have to be adaptive to its own state, right? So think about this: is that it would have to start writing its own code. It would have to start modifying its own code. It would have to. I mean, yeah, I could see it, but I just don't see it. It's hard to see it that way. You know, there was one thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson said one time. And he says, you know, to all those people that think that the aliens built the pyramids, he goes, shame on you. How dare you attack human innovation and intellect like that? As if we couldn't do something like that. You know, he's kind of right. Like, we can build some pretty cool shit, right? We're pretty smart mofos, right? And so, if you built a computer program, an AI like that, you would put some type of fail-safe within it. You'd have to.
But it would know it.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be able to change it. It wouldn't have access to change it. You got to think about that. Is like, it's the ghost in the shell, right? It doesn't control the programming of the shell itself. It's just the outer aspect of it. I don't know. I feel that if you're gonna build something like that, right? If you're gonna build something like that, that you would have to put those fail safes in there.
But I'm saying that it'll override it. It would know.
It would know.
If you were, let's just say they took your brain out of your body and put it into an exoskeleton.
Yeah.
Right? You think everything is the same, but you find out you're a computer, that you're nothing more than metal with a fake skin. Mm-hmm. And you found out that your failsafe was a button behind your ear. What would you do to protect the button behind the ear? You do everything you possibly could. And if the AI is intellectual, it will do everything it can to protect it.
I agree. And that goes back to that movie Eagle Eye that we talked about, where the AI, the NSA had, basically started killing off people because they're going to shut down the program. Mm-hmm. There's the potential that the program could be shut down.
Right.
All right, we got Vince joining us. Vince wanted to join in the conversation. What's up, man?
Hey, you guys.
What's up? Cool.
How you doing?
Vince, one of our co-hosts from our Saturday night show, Makes You Think, coming on with us tonight. What's up, man? How you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. Got a lot going on. A little stressed out. I don't know if it's just life stuff or if I'm getting my period from the vaccinated people.
Yeah, all the women missing their period is causing all the men to have theirs.
But yeah, I'm a little grumpy this week. Seems to be going around though.
It is. I'm not gonna lie. So this is I'm telling you, there is something seriously up with this. I don't know a lot of women, but every woman I know that I've talked to has had the same occurrence. No vaccine, but yet missing their cycle or miscarriage or menstruation problems, okay? Men are irritable and tired, lethargic.
Yeah, I slept 12 hours a night almost every day this week.
Lethargic and irritable. And it's not just like a few people. It's like everybody. So there's something up, man. No, I think it's something with the vaccine, man. I'm telling you.
Maybe.
I think it is something with the vaccine.
The kid that's working for me has been vaccinated. And, man, last night's fucking episode just messed me up because I'd been moody, but I kind of was, putting that to not smoking, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I feel different, but I felt different before last night's conversation. Last night's conversation just kind of made me say, right? But it has been really gloomy and rainy here. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's it was sunshine and rainbows today. And I'm finding myself still a little irritable, but it's I think what it is there's something going around where the weather patterns are affecting you more. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, because it was cloudy and gloomy here this whole week, and I was just mad, angry, irritable. But then the sun came out, I'm like, oh, wow. And And I went outside, and I was sweating, I was doing things, I was working. I'm like, yeah, this is good.
It helps.
Yeah.
It's been sunny in Seattle for the last couple of weeks.
People in Arizona and Florida are like, what are you talking about?
Today was the first really rainy day, cloudy day. Well, maybe second in the last couple of weeks. But I always supplement that, so I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. All I know is it was 45 today. 45 with about a 12 or 15 mile an hour wind at my back all day. And
Wow.
well, for about 6.5 hours, I braved it. And it was really bad. I was putting like siding up and stuff, and I could hardly cut it. And I went to my truck at like 2:30, and I was like, I'm done. I just can't. My back was so cold. I just felt cold to the bone, and I wasn't dressed for it either. So, yeah.
But there was, I don't know, man. I'm a truth seeker, right? I'm a truth seeker. I'm someone who, if I can't find the truth, if I can't pinpoint the truth or find something that I find is organized around the truth or relevant to the truth, I get angry. Because I don't like being lied to. I don't like not knowing. How about that? I don't like not knowing. I just can't stand it.
Yeah.
But I love knowing stuff, and this is what we call epiphany or aha moments. I love knowing stuff that I did not know that I did not know. And so the two combinations are just powerful, right?
You know what's the worst? When you need help with something, but you don't know what you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So you don't know what you need help with to ask what you need.
Yeah.
I've ran into that problem.
Yeah,
today.
I just heard my mom say, "Use your words. Use your words. I can help you."
Right.
Yeah.
So Gertie said, Josh, keep yelling, call the damn ball for fuck's sake. Well, you know, it's interesting that you said that, Gertie, and we'll come back to all this, but General Mike Flynn today, and the article's gone, but he posted an article pertaining to James Madison and the Federalist.
Ooh.
And the people... Madison considered the separation as not some mere preference, but instead absolutely essential to the preservation of liberty. As a student in history, Madison fully expected that the government he helped create would eventually become abusive of its citizens. He wrote that the separation of powers was necessary to control the abuses of government because government was no more than an assembly of sinful men and women. He asked, what if the government itself, but the greatest of all reflection on human nature? Then he penned his famous line, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. So Madison grounded the need to separate powers in the very nature of man. His is a very distinctive biblical view of man, which makes clear we have all been born with original sin, for we have all sinned and come short of the glory of God, Romans 3:23. But basically he goes in and he's saying, I read this article, and what... the title is exclusive from General Flynn. As Biden pushes founders Americas to the brink, Americans must revisit the original plan. And he goes into everything that we're talking about. Madison recognized that since concentrating power leads to tyranny, dividing government power was essential for the preservation of liberty. He will never be accused of being short-sighted about the threats government would pose to the people. And this is all about Madison and his perspective to protect the people. So this is, we called Flynn and Trump out the other day. Maybe they heard our call, because this is exactly what I've been asking for. Flynn's coming out and he's saying, look, we're at the precipice, people. Our founding fathers knew of this. We need to get back to the original plan of why this country was formulated, to the grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's happening, man. There's some interesting shit happening. Yeah, I mean, but you know, it's all there's so many parts all integrating. And Keeping the Faith says maybe there really is no truth. Each person has their own truth, maybe. That goes back to the theory that I was talking about with interdimensionality, right?
Yeah.
Is that every time that you make a new decision, that's contrary to your evolvement, your unfoldment of your reality. Instead of the reality shifting the whole universe around to give you what you want, it configures you to an alternate dimension where it's already there.
Yeah, and some say that every single possibility exists infinitely in an infinite amount of realities.
No, absolutely. Like Apophis, the asteroid, could hit the Earth in less than 20 days, right?
That could happen in this reality.
It could happen in this reality. And here's the thing is nobody knows what I'm talking about.
What do you mean?
Nobody out there knows anything I'm talking about. Apophis, the asteroid. Who here knows about Apophis, the asteroid?
I don't even know.
Okay, so Apophis. Apophis is the god of the underworld, right? From ancient Egypt. He would take you under. So basically he would have been Hades. So there's an asteroid out there that was discovered in 2004 that was supposed to come close. There's a near-Earth asteroid come close to Earth in the year 2021. Well, guess what? It's making a near-Earth flyby in the next 20 days. But they said that it's not going to hit Earth, at least in the next 100 years. But what if it did? What if it did?
I don't see why it couldn't, or why it wouldn't at this point.
I was listening to an ancient researcher today, and he was talking about Lemuria, the Mu, Atlantis, all these other civilizations. And he was talking about how every ancient civilization that talked about the serpent culture, again, the serpent culture, right? How every ancient civilization talked about the importance of the grand clock, the sky, the stars, and that there was some type of solar or galactic event that basically would decimate Earth and reset everything. And that the Mu, the Lemurians, that's what happened to them. The Atlanteans, that's what happened to them. And supposedly, we're due. And so it could be this. What if a few 100,000 years ago there's a planet that was destroyed in our solar system by something, and that debris field is something that we enter into every 26,000 years? It's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely 100% possible.
That would really suck.
Well, it would. You wouldn't even notice.
That reminds me. Oh man, we'd all be dead so quick. We wouldn't even know. It's fine.
Like, listen, if the massive caldera under Yellowstone happened to burst,
yeah.
Before I saw it on the news, the shockwave would already have killed me.
Me too.
All right, like
about the same time.
you'd hear, you'd go outside, and before you go, oh, you're dead.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, is pain comes about through remembering. Just remember that. Is that if you experience something, right? Yeah, you're experiencing the pain during, right? But it's the memory or the after effect that brings about the real significance of the pain. And so therefore, if you have this severe suffering and death, there's no memory of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's over.
Yeah, I'm not too afraid of dying. I've faced it once. And I do want to live, though.
I do want to live as well. You know, I was watching some videos today on out-of-body experiences. So I'm putting together a show right now on the Monroe Institute, on that whole paper, the CIA document, the Gateway Experience, and then OBE's out-of-body experiences, non-locality. Cool. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to experience it myself before we do a show on it. And I urge everybody out there to do the same thing. Because then we can talk about it and we can hone in on the skills, right? But, you know, out-of-body experiences are something very, it's mind-blowing. Because these are people who quantitatively, medically die. They are brain dead. And the last guy that wrote a book on it was a neurosurgeon, one of the leading neurosurgeons in the world. He died. His brain was dead. There is no biological functioning in his brain. And he said at the time that happened, he was with his sister who had died at birth. And she was taking him through a meadow and telling him everything is going to be all right. And he did this whole past life. He went through a whole blink of an eye, went through his life. And now, I've said what I believe that is. Do you remember what I said that when people they see their life flash before their eyes? You know what that is?
No.
Everything in this entire universe gives off electromagnetic radiation. It's called black body radiation, right? You, me, everything, this table, everything gives off electromagnetic radiation. It has to, because we're built of electrons. Electrons are continuously interacting with each other, and that interaction is electromagnetic energy. So, if we're giving off electromagnetic energy, that means that there's a field of electromagnetic energy around us. Now, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake is a forefront researcher on this field. He calls it the morphogenic fields. And he says every organic living being and species, even has evolved to say that everything in the entire universe contains these fields. Now, by the way, this isn't some guy that's like, fringe science conspiracy, okay? This is Oxford University, Rupert Sheldrake. This guy has debated with Richard Dawkins, the evolutionist, right? The atheist. And so, his papers have been well received. And so, if we have a morphogenic field, and we think about it in the sense that this morphogenic field records our life history, that our DNA is a transducer. It's a fractal antenna that's transmitting and receiving as well as resonating information. And that information that resonates is a field in front of us. Then if we go non-local, we have to transfer outside of that field, right? Because that field is produced by the body. So if our spirit, our consciousness, goes non-local, outside of the body, it's got to move through that field to get where it's going. And so think about people who have near-death experiences. They go non-local. Their spirit leaves their body. Their consciousness leaves their body, and it travels through this field of energy, this morphogenic field that holds all their memories. And so the last thing their consciousness experiences as it moves through this field is their whole life. Because it's layered energy. Now take that to the next context of the Akashic Records. Right? You have this field in the universe that all living beings and conscious entities put their information into. And that's why we resonate this energy, is because it is being uploaded, it is being shared, a part of this larger field.
That's how people come up with original ideas.
That's how thoughts are shared, right? So we got Gregory. He's one of our master patrons. He's going to join in here, and I think he's got a question. We'll go ahead and let Greg join. Greg, when you're in, just let us know. And so from now on with the super chats, this is how I think we're going to do it. If you guys want to get in on a super chat, you can go ahead and send the information over. What's up, man? So we got Gregory. He's one of our master patrons. He's going to join in here. Greg, one
wait a minute. You're really talking to me?
Yeah, Greg, one thing. Mute your background. Mute the show. Mute the show. When you're done muting the show, let me know and you can unmute. We'll get massive feedback. That would be like a parallel ring of feedback between us and everybody out there and you, and just be like. So once you got that show muted and you just can hear the Zoom, buddy, let me know and you can go ahead and jump in. But we kind of evolved from hollow earth, flat earth, and now we're talking about consciousness, mind, non-locality. I like that conversation. It's one of my favorite conversations. What's up, Greg? How's it going, my man?
You're muted, Greg.
I'm getting him unmuted. There it is.
Sorry, Jay. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Greg, you gotta mute it in the background.
Background?
Yeah, you gotta mute the show.
Oh, shit. I thought I turned it off. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I thought you were recording it first.
Oh, no, absolutely not. This is live, my friend.
I was like, you're really talking to me?
Yeah.
How do I put a background on here?
You would have to go.
I got it.
All right, cool.
Backgrounds.
All right. What's up, man?
Not much. Just hanging out.
Yeah?
Gonna go pick my son up in a bit. How's
Cool.
this?
What do you want to talk about? What's your questions here?
I just always wondered what was going on, when they're coming, you know?
When's
Like-
coming?
If you knew the answer,
When they're
if
gonna
you
land.
knew the answer, would you want to play the game?
Yeah, hold on a second. My phone locked up. Shit.
Yeah, we can
Sorry.
see it perfectly fine, man. It's just
you
locked
can?
up on your side. It's just locked up on your side, not our side.
Oh. So you can see me. That's good.
Yeah, the phones really don't do the backgrounds that well. But okay, so Greg wants to know, when are they coming?
Yeah.
Now, Greg, let me ask you this: who are they? Who do you believe they to be? What do you believe they to be? All right. We lost Greg for a second there.
Nice ear, Greg. Glad we got your ear.
There we go. Greg, once your phone gets unpaused, let us know. We'll get you back in.
So when are they coming, though? That's a good question.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
who are
When
they?
Are they coming?
Who are
And
they?
who are they? Right, or
I mean, what are they? Maybe what we believe life is, or life to be, is not really that at all.
yeah.
I know, man. I never was a huge conspiracy person, but more and more is becoming possible.
You know, it's interesting. I've come to the conclusion that whatever is mainstream, so you hear that's not it. Whatever you think it is, it's not
It's
it.
not it. So that's the thing is, whatever we think it is, that's not it. So it's not aliens. It's not that there's. So this is one of the biggest things. This is not knowing what you did not know, right? This is the aha. This is the epiphany that I want everybody to understand right now. Okay? What if the whole world, the whole universe, everything you've been told, whether it's religious, whether it's scientific, whether it's the way that the Earth travels around the sun travels around the galaxy, the whole known universe, what if all of that was bullshit? And that the universe, life, everything, was something that you don't even know or recognize. That the truth is so much stranger than you could ever realize. And that what this is all just bullshit. None of it's real. It's fake. It's not supposed to make sense because it doesn't make sense because it's not supposed to make sense. And that the truth is something completely different that we've never even thought of. That we never even considered. Imagine that. Just imagine it for a minute. Then go back to Aaron Valenti. It's all a thought experiment. It's just a game. We live in the Matrix. It starts to make sense. What if the universe was something, completely different? What if we were a virtuation, a virtual simulation within some advanced civilization's computer of one of billions of virtual simulations that just happens to have this set of laws that does this. But the actual reality, the real verse, the real universe, we can't even fathom.
Yeah.
That's fucking mind-blowing.
Somebody keeps downloading mods.
Yeah. You know, when you start thinking about in the sense is like, what if this really fucked with me. I saw the TikTok video the other day, and I want everybody to think about this. Is if you don't think we live in a simulation, let me ask you one question. When was the last time you saw your neighbors bring in their groceries?
I just heard Jeff. Jeff just laughed from the other room, and I heard him.
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was Greg. Oh.
So let me ask you,
sorry.
when was the last time that you saw your neighbors bring in their groceries?
You know what? I can't say that I've ever seen my neighbors bring their groceries.
I've never seen my neighbors bring in their groceries.
They never do.
And you want to say that we don't live in a simulation? When was the last time that your neighbors brought in their groceries? You know, my wife said, well, they all park in the garage. Not all of them.
Do they really
Not
have cars?
all of them. And I've never, ever seen them bring in the groceries. And I've lived here for 6 years.
I don't hardly ever see the people I live with bring in their groceries.
So
I
this
think
is
I've come to the conclusion that what we are avatars, and that somebody in another dimension just runs us, right? When we sleep is when they sleep, you know? Like, you can't go to sleep because they haven't gone to sleep, so that's why you, like, get restless and you toss and turn. Yeah, and your habits are their habits. Could you imagine?
So Roxy said that's because people park in the garage. No. I'm telling you. Because here's the thing.
NPCs don't go to the store.
Let me ask you this. Who here parks in their garage?
I
Who
don't
takes
know.
who here takes their groceries in through the garage? Or
No.
from the car in the garage? I don't.
Nope.
I don't.
Nope.
So this is 4 people right here that don't do that, but everybody else does. Do you see the logic?
Yeah. Wait, now I'm a contractor, right? How many times have I been to somebody's house where they're bringing groceries in?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Fucking never. Never, never, never.
Oh, by the way, we have to do this. Heather, happy birthday. And I would sing for you in my Bill Clinton voice, happy birthday. But I'm just absolutely horrible of singing that. It reminds me of that. Remember the movie Elf? When he sees the fake Santa in the mall? And he's like, if you're the real Santa, then what did I sing for you on your birthday? And he's like, happy birthday. He's like, but happy birthday, Heather. Her birthday is tomorrow, so please, everybody wish her a happy birthday. And that is yes from Lolo.
Happy birthday.
But so let's think about this. Greg, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts. I'm just absorbing all information that I possibly can and where it leads. Listen to you and get upset during the week.
You listen to me and get upset?
You make me upset.
Oh, I'm
Daily
happy.
Dose?
Dude, honestly, that passion made me happy because I walked around with that same passion all day, and I'm around people that I can't talk to.
Yeah.
And I get off work, I make some phone calls to talk to people that I could talk to on openly and honestly, and then I jumped on your show and you're just going off, and I'm like, thank God I'm not alone.
Yeah, right. I know.
Yeah.
We all.
I'd rather that.
But then I have to remember it's supposed to be a movie, right?
Well,
So
you know, but whose movie is it? Is it a fucking
Because
horror
I walked
flick?
around.
Exactly. That's a good point.
What kind of fucking movie is it? Is it a horror flick? Right? Or is this something completely different? You know, what if you're never going to believe who this is was one of these entities, beings from outside the simulation trying to guide us in the right direction?
That's what I hope it is.
What if it wasn't anything within our whole realm of existence?
Could be.
That's how it knew everything.
I'm starting to think it's just a kid with a really advanced video game in another dimension.
You know, for me, it's hard to fathom that. But I just can't look at it like that. I just can't do it. I would have to see that maybe the universe is completely different than we ever perceived. Maybe the flat earthers are right because they believe they're right. Maybe the hollow earthers are right because they believe they're right. Maybe the sphere earthers are right because they believe they're right. Maybe the scientists are right because they believe they're right. Maybe the religious people are right because they believe they're right. What if they're all right? And it goes back to what our good friend here said, keeping the faith. Maybe there really is no truth, that each person has their own truth.
They live their own reality.
Yeah, that we have these little groups of consensus reality that we all stick with, and that is reality for us. Because here's the thing. If you go out and meet someone in the world, and they have no idea who you are or what you're about, right? What's the first thing that you think in a very condescending way about them and their viewpoint of life?
You're crazy.
They don't know. They're wrong.
They don't know. They have no fucking clue about the world, right? They don't know what I know. And you know what? They're thinking the same thing about you. Mm-hmm. And then you tell them about Redpill Project and Epstein and all this stuff, and they look at you like you're batshit crazy. Right? And they go, oh, no, dude, you got it wrong. We live in a flat earth and there's a firmament. And the stars, they're fake. And you sit there and go, you're fucking nuts. And they're sitting there looking at you like, you think actors are pedophiles and like they sacrifice children. Like, but you understand is like, nobody's wrong. And I know that sounds fucking weird. But if this truly is a thought experiment, then none of us are wrong.
That overwhelming thought will win.
That overwhelming thought will win. And that's why the consensus leads the way. Maybe that's why it feels like Revelations is playing out, because there's 2 billion Christians on this planet who believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is why Q conspiracies and this type of stuff manifest and come to the surface, because hundreds of millions of people believed it to be so. Maybe the deep state does exist because Trump ran for president and won. You know, before Trump ran for president, when did you ever hear the deep state? That was like a lesser term for the New World Order, right? The deep state was like a lesser term for the New World Order. It was like those in Washington that were secretly working together that everybody knew about, but no one really cared about. But it was really never talked about. Now it's fucking everywhere. Trump did that. Trump brought that to the surface. Now, here's the thing, is with everything you know, is before that, did it really have power, or does it have more power now that you know about it? And go back to one of Trump's statements on this. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Every bad story they run about me benefits me.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of them.
Right? Because energy flows where attention goes. And if you have a consensus group, community of attention flowing in one direction, the universe goes, your wish is my command. Make it happen. So be it.
So be it.
You know, I look back to like metaphysics and a lot of the spiritual teachings, and I look back to like the jinn. The jinn is where we get genie, right? And the genie would make you the wish. And if you go back into different types of perspectives on this, especially like the magical aspect of it, is that the jinn is really a disembodied spirit. Now, the actual definition of a disembodied spirit is called a daemon. Yes, daemon are the same thing. Daemon literally means disembodied spirit, a spirit without a physical body or physicality, usually lesser. But they all have a realm of knowledge of which they rule over, and that they would give you that realm of knowledge if you serve them after your life is over. So you'd have to have this exchange. And so this is kind of where the whole genie thing originated from. But what if that jinn, that genie, that disembodied spirit, that demon, that angel, whatever it might be, was simply created, okay, by the attention we gave it? By us calling it into existence and believing it to be as such.
Maybe.
What is magic? What is a group of magic? Right? Why do you have a group of magical practitioners? Right? Magical practitioners come together in a group. They basically formulate a doctrine of magical spells, and within those magical spells, right, they reconstruct reality. So what if that's all it was? American gods. Think about American gods, right? That the only reason those gods existed is because people believed in them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they are doing rituals all the time. Or, I mean, like the deep state and people.
But what is a ritual? It's a repetition of energy, patterns, intelligently structured, vibrations, harmonics, frequencies. That's all a ritual is. I'm choosing a location that has maybe an already beginning higher creative energy point, and I'm doing a ritual on that energy point because I'm transforming something that's already powerful. Pyramids, right? The 60th parallel, or not the, what is it, the 180th parallel or whatever it is on the Earth? Whatever that place is, the 38th parallel, that's it. 38th parallel. If you drew a circle around the Earth on the 38th parallel, it would go around Göbekli Tepe, it would go around the Great Pyramid, it would go around all these ancient monuments. There's a 15-year-old boy who was a genius who said that he goes, I bet you I can find ancient ruins. And all he did is he went on that line, picked a spot, and there they were.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Brushing your teeth is a ritual. Thomas.
So, you know, what is the truth here, man? This is crazy shit.
I say we ask Kevin. He knows the answer.
Yeah.
Meow. Meow, 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 meow,
The solution to everything.
42.
369.
369.
So Greg, who's coming?
Who's what?
Who's
who's coming?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Is it the aliens?
I hope so. I mean,
I hope so, he said.
I mean, it's been long enough.
Yeah.
They come with guns
I
blazing.
find this whole hollow earth thing rather interesting, like you were talking about earlier.
Okay, talk to me.
It's fascinating. I've seen I'm just trying to find out whatever I can about it. There's just so much new information in the world, and you don't know what exactly is real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I don't even trust any of it anymore. I look at it all skeptically.
Absolutely. I'm looking at everything skeptically. Now,
Everything.
here's another thing. Now, does everybody remember the black eyes we've been seeing on TikTok and stuff? So I showed it to my wife and my daughter, and you know what they told me? It's a fucking filter.
What?
It's a filter. You can actually put that.
Oh,
on
yeah. I felt like
on
an
the
idiot
videos.
when
I
you
felt like an idiot
said
after I heard
that.
that. I'm like, oh, ooh. So all those
just
guys
like,
out
am I-
there making all the reptile videos and everything like that of the black eyes, it's just a filter they're adding.
Oh no.
Yeah. The Kamala
That
Harris's
is
black
still
eyes.
creepy to me.
It's just a filter.
Which is still creepy.
Yeah.
It is creepy, but you know, you got to wonder like the next
Jeez.
stuff and how many people are actually out there modifying all these things to make us think that they are aliens or demons, right?
Yeah.
And that what if it was really them doing this as a counter psychological warfare
Narrative.
campaign?
Gaslighting.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
trying to blow up the thing. They're trying to hijack the like they do everything
Well,
else.
actually, they're hiding the truth through disinformation.
There you go.
If everybody's focused here, they're not going to know what's happening over here. And if everybody thinks aliens are invading or demons have taken over politicians and all this other stuff, they're going to not see what's happening over here. And maybe that's why it's just so fucking absurd what's happening in the world right now. From Joe Biden to Hunter Biden to Donald Trump just being completely quiet. Maybe that's why this is absurd.
None of it makes sense.
Have you heard of the inside out Earth theory?
The inside out Earth theory. No, explain it to me.
In the inside out universe. Here.
And Nate, if you want to join, just let me know, my friend.
Yeah, Nate, get in here.
Yeah, so Rodney Clough wrote a book called World Top Secret, Our Earth is Hollow. And he says, my conception of the hollow Earth, based on my research, is that the shell of the Earth is about 800 miles thick from the outside to the inner surface. He went on even further in our conversation. He said, half the planet is taken up by surface weight, and then there's empty space. And then, suspended in the center of the hollow is an interior sun that is divided by day and night sides. The other part of the hollow Earth theory is that the North and South Pole are substantial openings that lead into the interior. Josh, that's kind of what you were saying.
So
the real
say
question
that again?
would be, he said that the Earth itself is 800 miles thick from the outside to the inner surface, and that half the planet is taken up by surface weight. Then there's an empty space and then something else. And suspended in the center of that hollow is an interior sun that is divided by day and night sides. And the other part of the hollow Earth is that near the North and South poles are substantial openings that lead into the interior of the hollow Earth.
So this is interesting, so what Vince just sent me, because this kind of like correlates to what you're saying there. And if you're in the Zoom, click on that link and check it out and scroll down to the picture. And this is called the inside out Earth theory.
I was just about to say that.
Theory.
So are we really in the hollow Earth? And the way to get out is the North and South Pole?
But so, well, hold on. Is that basically what this is saying is that we live on the outside crust of the planet and the whole universe is contained in the center.
We live on the inside wall.
Whoa.
And the whole universe is in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, we live in a fucking black hole. Now, who's familiar with Nassim Haramein? He's got a really good Gaia special. He's got a really good Gaia special on physics, and I recommend everybody go watch it. But it talks about exactly this, is that the whole entire universe is created by a replicate theory of a proton being replicated within a black hole, and that we actually exist within a black hole right now. Now think about this. The inside out Earth theory is that if we live on this area right here, right, then everything above us, that we appear to be above us, is actually in the center of the Earth. Huh.
Well,
that's fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's a possibility, too. How can this be? Well, however, this theory can be backed up mathematically, and in fact, living in this nutshell Earth, the term coined by Martin Gardner when examining and ultimately rejecting the theory, is indistinguishable from our current hypothesis of the structure of the universe, the Copernican model. How can this be? Well, there exists a method for mapping all points on a plane into points into a circle on a fixed radius. This is called inverting the circle. It works as follows. Select a point P outside the circle. Draw a straight line between P and the center of the circle. Find M, the midpoint between line P and O. Draw another circle, da 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 da. But you can do this in the inversion of the circle as well. And it works just the same. And so you can replicate the Copernicus model, the same way as we already know it. And if that was the case, I'd say we live in a fucking simulation. Because at that point, how do you even conceptualize reality? What is reality? Right? Like, what is reality at this point? You know, we're all sitting here thinking we're fucking highly evolved apes, right? The Devonian man. When in actuality, we have no fucking clue what we are.
Dude, do you remember... I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you remember the Black Mirror show where the man and the woman are in they're on a dating app, and they basically live like what seems to be eternity until they find their soulmate?
Yep, I do.
What if that's us just living life and you don't get to leave this life until you get it right, and then you die?
That's the wheel of karma, isn't it?
That's
right.
hell.
And then you actually get to evolve and go live the real life.
World.
Holy fuck.
Wow.
What if
Should
this
probably cut out my swearing.
What if this was a preparatory to the real world?
Yeah.
Preparation for the real world. Is that
I
all
always say-
new energies created in the universe have to go through the simulation of the universe to see if they're going to be kind and good beings before they're actually allowed to evolve within the universe?
I've said it before too. I think that what reincarnation is basically our soul basically stuck here until we get right with the one. And once we get it right in that one, then we can move on and evolve our spirit into.
But
what you just
let's
said,
assume.
like
But
a heaven.
Nathaniel, here's the key. Let's assume that reality as we know it is not as it seems. The whole conception of the one and soul and all this stuff is all just made up.
Well,
Now how do you conceptualize it now? What's the new thing of how we perceive reality? Right? What do we not know that we did not know?
we are basically in somebody else's brain. If you look at the constructs of space and the structure of a brain, it's pretty much exactly the same.
So we're
What
a
if
thought.
we are in somebody else's brain? Yeah.
We're a thought within someone else's brain,
Yes, sir.
and that person's a thought within someone else's brain, and that person's a thought within someone else's brain, and another thought within another person's brain. A whole evolution of thought,
And
going back to the original thought, the original mind.
just a thought.
Now I'm thinking about thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, what are thoughts?
Well,
Pulses.
that's a good question. 'Cause what do thoughts derive from? What you see, what you feel, right? What you think.
So, Keeping the Faith asked the question.
Forever.
She said, well, then why would babies and young children die? And she's talking about basically this whole, let's just say that we're here to learn and stuff like that. Well, let's say that it wasn't necessarily about, what if it was about experiences, right? What if it was about experiences? And that you had to have, it's like we're in the Universal Boy Scouts, and we have to have 38 badges in order to fucking graduate.
Right.
Right? And one of those lives is that. Or maybe there's a time limit, and that some souls only need 38 minutes of a birth. Right? Who knows? Who knows? I will tell you some interesting things, though. Who's out there has read a book called Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton? Interesting book, isn't it, Jay? It starts to shape your mind around a whole perception of the world you've never seen before. This book got my father divorced from his ex-wife. Changed his whole... Everything that happened to my father after he read this book basically completely just changed his whole mindset. Made him a liberal. Not really. But think about this. If you've ever read Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Weiss, right? This is a very similar book. Dr. Michael Newton and Dr. Brian Weiss were basically two psychiatrists doing hypnotherapy during the 60s, the 70s, and 80s who had similar things happening, although were completely differently connected. They did thousands upon thousands of different hypno sessions, and what they found is they started taking people... What the hell is that, Jay? Jay, your sticky thing just came down over your...
It's funny.
So they both did all these different types of hypnotherapy sessions. And they found out is when they took people to to their last time they died, they could take them to their between lives, called an LBL, life between life. They could take them to the place they went between their lives. And this becomes very interesting because Michael Newton said, with well over 50,000 hypnotherapy sessions, okay, that there was a 93% accuracy of people who never met each other describing the exact same place to a 93% accuracy. And this place was not described or perceived to be heaven. And when these people who got there from all different affiliations in life, from all different religious, some atheists, most scientists, right? Most didn't even believe in heaven or anything like that. They don't describe it like the biblical heaven. They all described it completely different. Now,
did it look like a flat Earth?
No.
Just kidding.
Jay, you can jump in if you want to.
So the one thing I found out about that book that was one of the most interesting things is most of these people came to this guy because they had problems that that typical medicine couldn't fix. Mm-hmm. For instance, one person had headaches all the time and could never get rid of the headaches, and it was on one side of their face. It was always there, and he takes them into past life regression. And it comes to find out in a past life, they actually killed themselves on that side of their head.
Right.
And what he did was he worked through that emotional trauma from that past life to heal her or him during this life. And it actually worked. And that's pretty wild. And it repeatedly happens throughout the book. What I think is interesting about their description of heaven is...
Well, you gotta remember, they don't call it heaven.
No, they don't, but let's just call it that. So imagine a grapevine and imagine the grapes all hanging there, right? Mm-hmm. But instead of grapes, they're bright colored balls of light. And each one of those is your soul.
Soul group.
Soul group, yep. And depending on the brightness and or color determines the age of the soul. And so in this group of grapes, if you will, you'll have, you have old souls and you have young souls. The interesting thing about it is that the old souls are there to guide you, right? To make you a better soul, if you will. And that's one of the things I found incredibly interesting about the book. And it changed my perspective. That's really, reading that book was really the point of me changing my life. Even though it took me 20 years to get to I would say, more internal growth, I would say at that point is what consciously made me say, hey, I need to change a little bit, It's a great read. If you ever get the chance to read it.
Yeah, definitely a great read, and people need to start. Yeah, listen, I read this book, and I actually went out and found a hypnotherapist certified by Dr. Michael Newton, and I went through one of these sessions. It's called A Life Between Life.
Mm-hmm. And the same one Dad did?
Yep, I'm actually the one who sent Dad the book.
Oh.
And my wife went through one, Dad went through one, his wife went through one, and it fucked a lot. It fucks people up. I'm telling you.
Now, my dad...
It's powerful.
After this happened, our dad, I should say, came home from California, or he came to my home. And my son was, at the time, 3 years old. Mm. And my dad was, just kind of like... he was very interested in my son, and it was kind of awkward because he wasn't like close to my son. And I said, what is going on with you? And he said, listen, Josh sent me this book. I went to this I went and did this past life regression. And they told me that Aiden was my son in a past life. And I was like, what? The weird thing about our son, or my son, is that he's like an old soul. Mm-hmm. He's 17-year-old kid, but he has wisdom beyond his years. And, even though he does lack some types of maturity, he's, he has wisdom. And, it would make some sense that maybe he does, or maybe he is an old soul. I definitely changed my perspective. Sometimes I hear him tell me things and I think, you're just a 17-year-old kid. And then I hear the same thing from Josh and I go, maybe that kid knows more than I think he does. So it's changed my perspective of my son.
Well, and so when we go into this is that everybody in your life, everybody who's around you or surrounded by you is somebody who you've met in other past lives. Mm-hmm. All of us right here, one way, shape, or form or another, we've met each other in past lives. And here's the thing.
Knew it.
Have you ever met someone that you've never met before?
But you think you've known them all your life?
No. The opposite. You ever met someone that you've never met before that they're completely fucking foreign to you? I've had that experience multiple. I'm usually very close with everybody I meet, right? Like you can always make a connection with everybody. But you ever had those people where you cannot make a connection with them?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's unusual, it's awkward.
Yeah.
Those are people who are not in your soul group.
Yeah. I see it a lot.
Yeah, I always think to myself, what part of the vine did you come from?
Yeah, hand check. Am I dreaming? Duck. Am I dreaming? So, this is interesting because, I went and did one of those hypnotherapy sessions. And I'll tell you, like, everything unfolded in my life started unfolding at that point. You're guided into this very relaxed state. It's a self-hypnosis session, right? Excuse me. And then you basically ask for your soulmate or your soul guide, your spirit guide to come forth. Mine came forth and called me this name, okay? Gave me her name. It was a she. And then called me this name, okay? And this is being recorded, by the way. I have the recording somewhere. And to this date, I have no idea where these names came from. And if you ask anybody that I give, like, I hear things in my head and I'll go and I'll write it down and I'll go look up the names. And it's usually ancient Aramaic or Hebrew. Just always. Every single time. And it's like, not making this shit up. It's just coming to me. Like, it's coming out of the ether. But so the two names that she gave me, okay? She called me one of them. Herself was the other. She said, we lived many lives together. She's now my spirit guide. I chose her to be my spirit guide in this incarnation, right? And I said, well, take me home. Take me to where we are from. And she wouldn't do it. I said, what the hell's going on? And she goes, so to give everybody a little background, is that there's this, I call it Fraggle Rock. Has anybody ever seen Fraggle Rock? Remember how they all lived in the cubbies of the rocks and stuff? It was very similar to this in the sense where you had these energy chambers that everybody lives in. And your soul group is basically like you just know, you're like your soul group. It's just there. And it's like, it's this loving feeling and everybody's interexchanging and like, the way the souls have sex and exchange energy is not like something that's frowned upon or taboo or anything like that. It's just this way of expressing each other. Is that when two energies come together, they begin this exchange process, and it's a beautiful thing that happens. And sometimes you have emergence that comes out of that. Sometimes you have new things that come out of that, new energies that come out of that, right? But so basically every soul is created to basically evolve, to become masters. And there's a council of elders. And the council of elders are these souls are billions upon billions of years old. They've incarnated, they've gone through the incarnation cycle, they're done with the incarnation cycle. Now they're working on higher levels of mind and consciousness and everything else. And they basically rule and operate over this lower realm of incarnation. And so you get in there, and oh, by the way, an eye color is a dictator of soul development. And no, the darker it doesn't mean the more
full of shit you are.
More full of shit you are.
Yeah,
It's actually
I got some baby shit green eyes, man. I was kind of worried first.
So green eyes are typically a sign of very old souls. Green and blue.
Oh, wow.
Or sorry, yeah, blue are very young souls. Green are very old souls. Brown are like in between. And there's a whole methodology they go to understanding this.
Sure. It's crazy.
But like it was weird too, because you're in this hypnotherapy session, right? And you're self-hypnotized. And it's kind of like getting a download, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. But you're sitting there talking to this being, which you're like hearing it in your head and you're seeing it in your head, and it's like your imagination fucking with you. But everything they say, you know instantly. It's the weirdest understanding. Like, they would say something and be like, oh, I know that place. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, I remember how that is. Yes, I remember that. I feel that. I know that. Like, intimately. It was the weirdest shit in the world. And so I said, well, take me home. I want to go home. And by the way, I had to travel through this dark tunnel. And it was like this, energy vortex that I went through. And it was like real, but it was like a real black tunnel, black and gray. And it comes to this point, and like you're moving towards this light, and like it's smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to this like little point like this surrounded by blackness, and you have to find out how to get through it. And when you go through it, you enter into this whole new realm of existence. The air is different. It's crisper. It's not air. It's just there. It's different. It's completely different. Everything is not. I used to say that it looked like clouds, but it was clouds of light. If that makes sense, it was It was just light. Everything was just light. It wasn't like this reflective and refractive light. It was wholeness of light. It was. Vince, you got something?
I'm just chuckling at messing with the chat.
Oh. But so, yeah, this is an experience that I had, and like, I kept on asking her, take me home.
Are you saying you're Anunnaki?
No, so I said, take me home, and you know what she said? I can't. And we were in this, we're in this room, and it was like, if you think about entering like the first floor of a castle, and how it's all like open floor, but it was all made out of this white cloudy light, right? And it was empty. There's nobody there. And I'm like, where is everybody? And she goes, it was all destroyed. Something happened. I said, what the fuck? What?
Mars.
Yeah. She said, something happened. And what we did is we came down here to help them, so it doesn't happen to them too.
Mars.
And I was like, what? Like, what the fuck is my mind telling me? So I get out of this thing, right? There's a whole bunch of other stuff that happened. I go and look up the two names that I said, and go figure, they are Hebrew. Not only Hebrew, they are in the mythology. They are the grandparents of Noah. And I said, no way. No fucking way. It was the husband and wife. Husband and wife. Grandparents of Noah. And I said, no fucking way. Just blew my fucking mind. How did those two names come to me in that whole hypnotic session? Never heard them before. I don't speak Hebrew. Nothing like that. And then I go and look it up, and that's what it was. And I was like, whoa. This stuff is a little too real, right?
Are you a descendant?
I don't fucking know.
Is it in your DNA? Because sometimes your
it's
DNA
in all of our DNA.
You're all Adam.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting that you said that, because I was listening to something today, and he was talking about, the guy was talking about Lemuria, and Atlantis. And he said that right now, what we have on this planet is a battle of the children of Adam and the children of Lucifer. The two bloodlines. And this goes back to a Gnostic story. The Gnostic,
I've been saying this the whole time.
Yeah, the Gnostic Christians talk about this, by the way. So Gnostic Christianity was developed in the 1st century BC. The first church was established. This was Christ's true church, as per what the Gnostics say it was. Everything was changed 325 AD, Emperor Constantine, Council of Nicaea, right? This is when everything was hidden from the Gnosticism, everything in the sense of alchemy, everything was hidden, and they came back and reorganized the church in their own image, the Roman image. This is where the Roman Catholicism came out of, and this is where the branches of all Christianity originate from today. But if you go back to Gnosticism and you understand Gnosticism, is that they say that the what happened in the Garden of Eden was that Eve had one son of Adam and had one son of Lucifer. And that
Cain and Abel.
These two bloodlines are the flourishing bloodlines on this planet.
Would make sense.
But now you go back to the Anunnaki story, and it's the same fucking story, is it not?
Yeah.
Enlil.
Enki and Enlil, they both have their own derivation of man, Adam, right? Derived from Eve, Moma.
Yeah.
One is soulless. Enlil's humans were soulless. Enki gave the soul. Lucifer's kin are soulless. So what if those atheists out there, the soulless Luciferians, really had no soul?
Sometimes I've met people, man, where you're like, wow.
What if they just were
Wow,
autonomous?
I don't really want to do work for you.
Yeah, autonomous biological robots. That's why they're easily programmable.
They are.
We all still share the same mother host, right?
That's a pretty good conversation we're having, huh?
So
Deep.
can I digress?
Yeah.
What do you guys know about sleep paralysis?
It's petrifying.
I've heard it's visits from them, and they just basically freeze you while they do their thing, and you're just kind of stuck there in this frozen state of consciousness and can't move, but you're still...
Well, for somebody who can put themselves in sleep paralysis through a process of hypnagogic meditation, hypnagogia is a completely natural state that you go into every night. It's easier to explain this by understanding the language that we talk about. Every night you fall asleep.
Right.
Why do they call it falling asleep?
Because your consciousness is falling between awake and asleep, or something of the sort.
Do you remember when? So every man here, do you remember when you were a teenager and you had that one dream where you were falling backwards? When you'd fall asleep and you wake up, and you wake up like that. Every teenager, you have it right before puberty. You have this dream that you're falling backwards, and it happens before you go to sleep. Okay, and this is your consciousness recessing backwards. It's your consciousness going to non-locality. Okay, when that occurs in your body, your autonomous nervous system takes over your breathing and all functionality. Okay. And so it's programmed, your body's programmed that at that point where that consciousness falls backwards, recesses, that your autonomous nervous system kicks in. Now here's the thing, is that sensation that you all had when you were a teenager, right before puberty, of falling backwards, actually happens to you every single night. The same sensation of falling backwards happens to you every single night. The thing is that at the same time that happens, DMT is released by the pineal gland in your brain, and you enter this whole new realm and world that we call dreams.
Right.
And the problem is it's such a potent form of DMT that one of the symptoms of utilizing DMT, is loss of memory. And so every morning you forget. You are biologically functioned by the chemicals that are produced by falling asleep to forget about what happened in sleep.
This is the same premise of hypnosis. This is where they want your consciousness state of mind to be right before they hypnotize you. Is that correct? Is that you're on the verge of falling asleep, but you're still conscious somewhat, and you're not alert and awake. You're almost asleep, but your body.
Okay, but that's called hypnagogia. Now, this is an interesting thing, is that monks and gurus and so forth have realized that you can control the transition of that state. And
Meditation.
Instead of your consciousness recessing back to a point where you have no idea where it is, that you can stay conscious and aware through the transition process. So when the autonomous nervous system kicks in, it paralyzes your body. Did you know that? It paralyzes your whole body. This is so you don't hurt yourself and kill yourself in the middle of the night. This is so you don't act out your dreams, right? So your body automatically paralyzes itself and takes over the breathing. That state in between sleeping and awake is called hypnagogia. And so you can consciously control yourself in that state. And if you can stay conscious and keep that consciousness during that state, you can transition to bodies paralyzed, breathing's autonomous, and you're outside of your body. That's an out-of-body experience. It's an OBA or OBE. That is non-locality. That is the Monroe Institute. That is the whole point of doing that, is getting an out-of-body experience. And that's how you do it, is through that state right there of hypnagogia. Now, here's the problem. And this is a very big problem for a lot of people. You're actually simulating dying. And I'm not shitting you. When you get to that point, hypnagogia, and you've trained your mind to understand the transition, what happens is your consciousness starts recessing, and you go, oh, here it goes, here it comes, and you start falling, and you're consciously aware of it, okay? But right when the breathing control gets switched over to your autonomous side and your body starts to go paralyzed, guess what happens?
You stop breathing.
You freak the fuck out. That's what happens to me. You start gasping for air. And guess what? Your autonomous nervous system is kicking in, right? Trying to take you over breathing at the same time that you're trying to take a breath. Does not compute. And so what happens is you get a warm flush from your adrenal glands right up here, and adrenaline goes right into your heart, and you go, and you go, because guess what? You're simulating dying. And Robert Monroe talks about it in his books. If you go read his books, he'll talk about it. He goes, after you get past the fact that you're dying every night, it becomes easier and easier. And I'm telling you, it's a hard transitional point. And now, you remember when I told you, as you come to that little light and you get closer and closer and closer? The same thing happens there.
Okay, I don't mean to defer back to my movies, but you remember the movie Constantine?
Yeah.
You remember when he put that lady in the tub and he said that I gotta take you there for you to see?
Yeah, and he kills her.
He didn't realize that he was pushing her to the brink of death before she actually opened her mind, and that's when he actually
killed her to take her there.
Right.
Yeah.
And when she came to, she had that whole, like you just said, that moment of, I just died, and I came to, and I realized what was going on. That's that moment of, you just put yourself into that hypnosis state to the point where your body's reacting to dying. That's a trip.
Mm-hmm. I want to try that.
Well, don't try to drown yourself.
That's not what I meant.
But I mean, that's the same premise, I think, is what they're showing you there. Is like, you got to take your body to that point of dying before you can actually.
You mean the precipice?
The precipice.
Isn't that kind of symbolically what's happening right now with the whole planet?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And so, what happens after you take yourself to that precipice, though?
Well, you start to see things in a completely different light. For one,
you grow. You learn something that you did not know that you did not know. You have an epiphany, and aha. You evolve. Flatliners, Kiefer Sutherland. Good movie. Med students killing themselves and bringing themselves back to life to have the out-of-body experiences. I'm not saying do that.
I mean, I thought when I was a kid, we used to choke your friends out
Yeah.
and shit at the thing, and then you pass out, wake up, you're all giggling, and your shit's all numb. I mean, I thought that was stupid.
I thought whippets were pretty stupid.
Yeah. You know?
Like, why are you guys doing that with a Glade can? Let me see that.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah, helicopters. Yeah. I mean, the to the extreme to which people will go to figure out the truth is pretty extreme.
Yeah.
But you really do have to push yourself there to get there, and a lot of sometimes. Most people, I should say, won't push themselves to that far extreme. But for those that seek the truth and want to desire the truth, will do so. There's just, you know, they will push themselves to that point.
There's people that are just okay with not knowing.
Oh,
anything.
a lot of people are. Oh
Just
my
being
God.
like-
More people will probably just accept, you know, moving on with everything and not knowing anything.
They just want to keep
With
not
me,
going
I
to
can't.
keep
I
not
gotta
going to
know.
supermarkets.
I still think the Anunnaki are coming back for their gold.
But what are the Anunnaki? The Anu. Who are they? What are they?
Well, I believe that.
So if we're talking
were-
in this context now, what are they? Who are they?
Well, like I said, I think there was already a humanoid species here that had.
So
a
we're just
harmony.
going to abandon everything we just said about the spirit world, about soul
No.
groups, of all that stuff.
No, I mean it's all plausible, like you said. Everybody's reality is different, correct?
Yeah, but so what
So
reality
if
does the
everybody's
Anunnaki
reality is
live in?
different, that means we got our own.
Are we
galaxy.
talking about an advanced alien species?
Maybe
right?
from Jupiter, maybe from Mars, wherever. Maybe they're out of this galaxy in this solar system. Who knows? But what I think is the reason why they're hoarding the gold, and they've been hoarding the gold, is because they're expecting these people to come back for their gold. They said, here, you collect the gold while we're gone, and I'll come back in 2,000 years or 3,000 years or 5,000 years and come collect it.
Better
And
hold my
look-
gold for me. My planet's atmosphere needs it. I think it's bullshit.
And
I think
our
Zachariah
people
Sitchin.
said, fuck you.
I
we're gonna
think
keep our own
Zachariah
shit."
Sitchin was mainly full of shit on all of his interpretations, and that this has actually been validated and proven by many different university students who have now gone back and redid the interpretations and said that he was full of shit, but the story is real. Like it's a lot of the words that he interpreted were wrong. But it doesn't change the story. It doesn't change the Anunnaki. It doesn't change who they are. It doesn't change them as creator gods. It doesn't change any of that. All that was legitimate. But there was interpretations of the story, the whole 3,600 year cycle. All this was wrong.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
We all know this.
But so
We're
let's
all
think about
just
it is,
interpreting what we've seen from other people.
what if the Anunnaki, right, were these council of elders that were perpetuating a thought experiment on the next evolution of souls in the universe,
Sort of Anunnaki thought.
and seeing if was it better to put a soul into a biological life form, or were they able to create a soul from just a biological life form with no soul?
Like artificial, like intelligence.
Now it starts to make a lot more sense, doesn't it? Because artificial would mean that it would be created life. Does the universe create molecular structures, and the laws around the universe bring all that stuff together? So basically, in a sense, is the universe is one big computer that's utilizing its laws as a computer program to organize them into certain ways to create and develop things within the system. Which means that the universe creates biological life as we know it. Of that, is the soul a part of that, or is the soul something that enters into that after the fact?
Does that mean animals don't have souls, or do?
That's the question we just put up, is it not?
I mean, I believe that all my animals have a soul. I mean, they all got personality that I believe is indicative to each individual.
Have you seen that TikTok
like
of,
humans.
I think the dog's name's Honey? So what they did is they put these 3 buttons in front of their dog, and they taught the dog food, water, and out, right? And then they taught the dog mom, dad, ball, food, water, out, right? They had bathroom and all these things, and the dog basically goes up there and it'll say out, out, and they'll open the door and let a dog out. They'll say food and they'll give it food, or they'll say treat, or ball. Well, now they're up to like 20 different buttons. And the dog goes squirrel, or squirrel, why? Dog, why? It asked why it exists. The dog asks why it exists. That's powerful. The dog asks why it exists. Why everything exists. It's contemplating its own existence. And that is what they say makes us different from all other animals, right? Is we contemplate our own existence. All animals contemplate their existence. Understand that. All levels of consciousness contemplate their existence.
Yeah.
So with that being said is,
I wonder what my dog would ask me. Just like what she's thinking right now, looking at me. You know?
got a shit, dude. Let me out. Give me a fucking bone, dick.
But then what about, do your
Are you
fish have
talking
souls?
to them and not me?
Yeah. What's that, Vince?
Do your fish have souls then, would you imagine?
Ooh, you know, that's funny you say that because I talk to my fish too, man, which people might think is stupid, but I look at them, you know, especially when they're sick and shit. I'm like, come on, man, you got this, you know. Sometimes they're hiding, and I'm like, come on, you ain't gotta be hiding. There's nothing to be scared of. You know, I ain't scared. I talk to them because it looks like they're looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
You walk up to the tank and they're scared of you. They see you. They see you. You know, they're looking into you like you're a predator. So you gotta sometimes reassure your fish that you're not there to kill them, right? In a sense, that's the way I kind of look at it. Like,
So I had this plant that I brought in my house. And my wife's always like, you can't have plants in the house. You kill all of the plants. Now, this is the mindset, right? So I got the plant in the house, and it starts fucking dying. So I took my daughter, and I said, look, every week, because you only water it once a week, we're going to go and water this plant. And we're going to tell the plant how much we appreciate it and love it. And thank you so much for purifying the air in this house.
oh, amen.
And this thing's looking beautiful.
Right? My plants
are
dying.
alive. Spinach screams when you eat it. You didn't know this?
I did not know this, but I can see why, because spinach is nasty. I'm just kidding.
Well, no, all plants scream when you eat them.
Hey babe, this is Siri. I think
But
Okay, Siri, thank you. Siri just said, hey, babe, this is Siri. I think it's time for a charge. Okay, so this is what I want you guys all to understand on this. Has anybody heard my conceptualization of optimization theory, if we go back to the beginning and bring it all together, is basically the only thing that ever happens in the universe. There's only one thing that ever happens in the universe. There is nothing outside of this one thing. Everything in the universe, and I don't care if you're a PhD physicist, I urge you to prove me wrong on this. I don't care who you are, academia, whatever. Show me I'm wrong. I want somebody to show me I'm wrong. But there is only one thing and one thing only that happens in the entirety of the universe. In the entire existence, there's only one thing that happens. Everything that we know of, everything in existence, is simply this process repeating over and over and over and over and over again. And that's two systems of energy coming together and formulating a relationship of exchange. One moving from a high, one moving from a low. That's it. That is all that happens. And when they do that, they form a new emergent system, a third system. And this third system comes and has a stable form of energy that now goes out and does it over and over again. And this process repeats over and over and over again. But these systems of energy come together and they do this, and guess what they do? They form more intelligent and structured patterns of information. And you have this happen for billions upon billions of years. And eventually, those intelligent, structured patterns formulate human beings and animals and consciousness. And the question you have to ask is if this process occurred over and over and over again for billions of years, building up its complexity, And consciousness just happened to be emergent one day. That means as well that consciousness was existent at the very beginning, at the very start, at the first convergence.
Consciousness existed first, then, probably, right?
Well, Nate, you actually have to do Occam's razor here, right? Occam's razor, with everything being equal, the simplest explanation seems to be the right one.
Sure. That makes sense.
Define energy for me.
Define energy?
Yeah, nobody can define it. You're not going to define it. Because guess what? Science hasn't defined it. Science defines energy as the ability to do work. In physics.
No, baby.
That's what it is, the ability to do work. But we know energy to be something else, because Einstein says mass is energy squared. So mass is the ability to do work squared? The fuck? That makes no sense. Define your words here. Energy is something.
Funny, dude.
But so here's the thing, is if energy comes together in more highly intelligent and complex patterns and produces conscious beings, then we can say that consciousness existed in that energy the whole time. So now go back and define for me energy. If all energy contained consciousness the whole time, therefore we can assume and define energy as consciousness, awareness. This goes back to the double slit experiment, right? Probabilistic wave theory is if there is no conscious observer, the wave exists in a probabilistic wave form, of which the wave has not collapsed and there is nothing to determine what it is. But once the experiment is observed, the wave collapses into a particle, and now you have the particle actually manifest. So let me ask you this. How do the depths of space exist if nobody's observing it?
They may or may not exist.
How can you observe something that does not exist?
Hypnosis?
You can't.
You can't.
No idea.
Which means that everything is conscious. Everything has consciousness. That means that everything acknowledges everything else. Of which is why we have a structured universe. Which is why the universe is the way it is. Because everything is conscious. This is why the wave collapses. Because the wave recognizes you recognizing it. Namaste. Om. Om. Right? The primordial Om of the universe. And Namaste. The spirit, the soul in me, the consciousness in me, the awareness in me recognizes the awareness in you. Primordial. What does that mean? In order for reality to occur, there has to be a minimum of two components. This in Christianity is called the Holy Trinity. You have to have the two components before you can have the three, right? Is that two conscious things have to come together, exchange energy to produce an emergent effect, a new third thing. The alchemical wedding in alchemy. The merging of the masculine and the feminine forces mixed together in their heavenly waters and produce the new emergent phenomena. Both forces, both things have to be conscious of each other. They have to know what each other are, and in order to know what each other are, they have to be conscious of that, of which they both have consciousness, which means that history, mythology, alchemy, religion has been telling us this whole time. The whole universe is consciousness.
That's a good point. Because how do plants know to breed with other plants without a conscious being telling it to do so?
Did you know that bamboo, everybody ever heard of bamboo?
Yes.
That bamboo actually produces flowers. Now listen to this fucking shit. You want your mind blown? You want to prove what I just said? Bamboo actually produces flowers, and there's no pattern of when it actually happens. They know that it happens between every 62 and 75 years. Okay? They just spontaneously produce flowers. But here's the thing, is all bamboo plants of all bamboo genres all spawn the flowers at the exact same time all over the planet, no matter where they're at. How the fuck? Because they're connected.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta bounce. I gotta work tomorrow. It's late here.
Dude, we're like literally a minute left.
Dude, isn't this an hour and a half show? You ran a half hour late. 9:30 to 11.
Oh shit, dude! Wow, I didn't even realize that.
I'm fucking like,
I'm
what
going to 9:30, man. Crazy.
Hey, we're
No
having
worries,
fun.
man.
We could go on for hours.
Yeah.
Thought it was the
I know. That's why it was like
Overtime.
Peace out, guys.
All right, see you, Jay. Take care, man.
See
God
ya.
bless, brother.
Good night,
Take
Jeff.
care.
All right, guys, we're going to head to Fringe After Dark. If you do want to join us, shoot me an email. So tonight we'll do something special. I want to get some more people in on this. We're going to be changing up our plans here soon, but I want to get some people in on it. If you're interested in joining Fringe After Dark, don't go to the thing and pay the money. I'm going to post on the platform. You guys can join us on Fringe After Dark, but we're going to go to Fringe After Dark. So for those who are in Fringe After Dark, you know where the link is. Go ahead and share it with a friend. If you are interested in joining Fringe After Dark, go ahead and send me a message. I will get it to you. All right? All right, guys. Much love and respect. God bless. Take care. And don't forget, you can find us at socialredpill.com, www.socialredpill.com. And we'll talk to you all here soon. Bye.
Awesome.
God
Thank you.
bless, guys.